edition of the Comic Anthologist. And if you are tuning in for the first time, please show your support
and hit that subscribe button.
Exactly. And also hit that bell just to let us know that you enjoyed what we've put out. Now today we are going to review for you the film that just recently came out on December 14th, which was called Spider-Man Enter the Spiderverse. And all
Actually is Into the Spiderverse.
That's right. He had to correct me on that because I'm thinking of the comic book title. But in any case, Into the Spider-Verse. Into. Okay. Well, but we're going to talk about what it's based off of too as well, just briefly. But Enter the Spider-Verse was released back in 2014.
No, actually the book was called Spiderverse.
Spiderverse. Oh yeah, that's true.
Or Edge of
Spider. Yes, it was Edge of Spiderverse.
And it was brought out, it was written by Dan Slott. So like this particular film has elements, even though it's not based off from the Dan Slott series, elements from that series was pulled from that comic book series.
In other words, it was cribbed from there just to make the storytelling process a lot smoother.
Right, and also not to mention too of going into the origins of Miles Morales, aka the new Spider-Man. At the same time, giving homage to the previous Spider-Man films and in looking towards the future with this this animation style and everything. And I do have to say that the film was phenomenal.
Well, I'll say this before I get into my review of the film as well, is that for those of you who have not tuned in, we did do an episode on Miles Morales. But if you haven't tuned in just yet, Miles Morales made his first appearance back in Marvel Comics Ultimate Fallout, when it was the Ultimate imprint back in the day.
Ultimate Fallout #4.
Yes, Ultimate Fallout #4, back in 2011. And that's when he made his appearance, replacing the Peter Parker that was killed previously in the Death of Spider-Man storyline that took place at that time.
Now in the film, not to give away any spoilers, but they did condense the origin story so it still fit the narrative of what came before in the comic books. But it was done in such a way that anyone who's not known what this character is all about, they could see it for the first time and get brought up to speed just like that.
Exactly, and the film was just so entertaining, and it basically was a family film, and even though you had points and whatnot that you just laughed at, you couldn't help but sit up there and just be enthralled about Miles Morales' journey from becoming the boy that he was to becoming that new version of Spider-Man eventually as time goes on.
And it did have a few adult elements, but it was done in such a way that, again, the whole family could check it out and enjoy it.
Because it was one of those things that when you just look at it visually, the style had never been done before when you're implementing all these layers of pop culture in terms of the comic book look.
Right.
And then when they incorporated the different versions of Spider-Man into the book, into the story, it just gave it a richer storytelling process in terms of, okay, they have this story where the Kingpin is one of the main villains in the film. And basically, he's the crux of this story, where he's the one that inadvertently brought all of these, and people have seen the trailers, have brought all of these versions of Spider-Man together, where you had Spider-Man Noir,
Spider-Gwen,
and then which is the Ghost Spider, and then you had the future manga Spider, which is the Spider-Man. What was it? Spider-Girl.
Her name was Penny
Parker. Yes, and she was a variation of Peter Parker,
and
but
then they even put in there too Spider-Ham. But my favorite character besides Miles Morales in the film was Spider-Man Noir. Yeah, that he was voiced by Nick Cage. Yeah.
Now Nick Cage is no stranger to comic books, because he's one of those actors that has one of the largest comic book collections on record, so to speak, is what he's mentioned. But at the same time, it's one of those things that with the people that were going into this thing, the actors. You had Haley Steinfeld. She basically enjoyed her place in the film as playing Spider-Gwen. Which is, like I said, Ghost Spider. And then you had Shameik Moore playing Miles Morales. And he just gave that character so much
gravitas.
Yes, he gave it gravitas. He had fun with it. And it was just something that you laughed with them, but you were also sad with them.
Also, too, Mahershala Ali, I liked his performance in the film, too. Even though he was, his voice cameo, or no, I wouldn't say cameo, but his character wasn't in there that long. But it added a lot of weight to the story, too. Because,
yes, it did.
Yeah, but because you know how Peter Parker has his Uncle Ben moment? There's a scene in the film where there's an Uncle Ben moment again, but it's not in a way that you've seen before traditionally, but it had a nice little twist on it when you watch the film. So, but
exactly.
Yeah, all in all, it was just a fun time just to watch it, man.
Yeah, it was a fun time. You just sat there and just watched him grow as a character.
Literally, too.
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually you see, like I said, you see the original Peter Parker, then you see the other iterations of Spider people.
And then you had another version of Peter Parker, Peter B. Parker.
Yes.
With a gut.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the thing, they had never explored before, having a middle-aged Spider-Man in the film.
Right.
But it was just fun to see a different variation of the take on the characters.
Right.
And what would you have to say?
Oh, Chris Pine played the one of the Spider-Men in the film, too.
Which one did he play?
One of the ones in the original timeline.
Oh, that's right.
In the movie Miles Morales.
Miles Morales timeline. So basically, he was the Peter Parker C.
Yeah, so it was like, it just like had a plethora of talented voices and everything, and they did a damn good job. And we did have the honor of meeting the writers and directors of the film recently.
And Phil Lord is one of the writers of it, and Mr. Brochetti is one of the directors of the film. And basically, in speaking with them,
and Tim Miller.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they spoke with so much, basically, praise, and also they were kind of unsure what was the success of the film was going to be. But now we can honestly say the movie has now grossed over $35 million in its first weekend as the #1 movie this weekend. And it beat out Mortal Engines. And no offense to that film, but I'm sorry, but Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse was a well-made animated film. Great character development, great style.
And I like that they pull elements from those Spider books that were written by Dan Slott back in the day. And those related to that storyline by Dan Slott and other writers and other artists and everything. So if you get a chance, check it out.
And also,
we enjoyed it.
I want to just say this. Stick around to the end of the movie and you will see...
No spoilers, but just
stick around to the end of the movie.
After the end credits are done.
Because
kind of like Marvel style, yeah.
Oh, because it is a Marvel movie. But the thing is, just stick around to the end of the movie as you will be mildly surprised about how the ending is. And hopefully they could take this another step forward, because they did mention that they now will be doing, down the road, a female-driven spider film, which will have Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, and then you have Ghost Spider, which is Gwen Stacy, and then you have Penny Parker, and then you also have Silk, which is another character we will touch upon at another time.
And Silk, briefly, she happened to be bitten by the same spider. How it's set up in a comic book, she happened to be bitten by the same spider as the main Peter Parker Spider-Man lore.
In the Marvel 616 universe.
Or regular Marvel Universe, or Marvel Universe Prime.
I'm going with the geek style. Marvel 616 universe.
Marvel Universe Prime.
No, Marvel 616.
Prime.
All right, it's Prime, but it's 616.
It was Prime after the Secret Wars. Okay.
You know what? It's still called Marvel 616.
You know what?
Yeah, that's right.
Dang, but I said Prime. But anyway,
any case, we just want to throw that out there. Go check out Into the Spiderverse.
Yeah, you'll be thoroughly surprised, thoroughly enjoyed, and thoroughly entertained.
Exactly. So with having said that, this is another episode of The Comic Anthologist. Once again, if you're tuning in for the first time, please hit that subscribe button and also hit that bell to show us that you enjoyed what you have seen.
Exactly.
In any case, until then, take it easy and peace.